It's happening. The White House is in full panic mode, and Donald Trump's approval ratings are in free fall. In just 1 week, his numbers have dropped a staggering 4 points, and they're still slipping. But it's not just the polls that are turning against him. Even some of the most loyal voices from the right-wing media are now speaking out, accusing him of covering up the Epstein files, sending ICE agents to terrorize peaceful communities, and even pardoning some of the biggest criminals in the country. The backlash is growing louder, and it's no longer just a small group. This is becoming a movement. But here's the part no one is saying out loud. The deeper implications of this aren't just political. They could change everything. Stay with us to find out why this might be the beginning of the end for Trump. As the approval numbers drop, something bigger is unfolding. This isn't just a blip in Trump's political journey. This is part of a larger, more disturbing pattern. The White House is scrambling to respond, but their actions are only making things worse. You have to ask, why is this happening now? Is it just a coincidence, or is there something more at play? Trump's approval rating has been plummeting for a reason, and it's not just about the usual politics. This is about the cracks in his foundation starting to widen, and those cracks, they're spreading fast, threatening to break his entire grip on power. But what's really at stake here? Why does this matter for you? Stick with us as we dig deeper into what's really driving this collapse. So what's really going on behind the scenes? The White House's panic isn't just a reaction to falling numbers. It's because they can't control the narrative anymore. Karoline Leavitt, Trump's chief spokesperson, is under fire for what she's been saying. In a recent briefing, she claimed that Trump had already defeated Biden's inflation crisis. Yet the numbers tell a completely different story. In fact, Trump's policies haven't solved inflation at all. They've made it worse. Why would they try to spin such an obvious lie? Here's the kicker. It's not just about a narrative, it's about control. Leavitt's statements aren't just misleading. They're a desperate attempt to regain authority. But notice what's missing here. Why isn't anyone asking the hard questions about what's really happening with the economy? The answers aren't as simple as they want you to believe. Now, this situation is escalating quickly. Trump's approval ratings aren't just slipping, they're plummeting, and the White House is scrambling to contain the fallout. But instead of focusing on the real issues, they're doubling down on distractions. Karoline Leavitt has been defending Trump's every move, even going as far as dismissing any criticism as left-wing bias. But here's the reality. This is starting to feel eerily familiar. Remember the early days of the Trump administration when every scandal was brushed aside, when every protest was met with force? Well, it's happening again. And this time, it's more than just rhetoric. It's an entire system trying to protect itself. The tactics of using military-style forces in cities, that's not just Trump being controversial. It's the normalization of something we should never accept. And it's becoming the new normal. The stakes are getting higher. Trump's team isn't just pushing misleading statements. They're outright ignoring the most dangerous contradictions. Just take a look at what Karoline Leavitt said about Trump's comments on canceling elections. Twice in recent days, Trump floated the idea of halting elections altogether. And what did the White House say? He was joking. A joke. That's their explanation for something so critical. But here's the truth. When the leader of the free world talks about canceling elections, it's not a joke. It's a warning. And here's why. What happens when the jokes stop being funny? When the boundaries of democracy are pushed so far, it's no longer a question of if, but when. This isn't just a slip of the tongue. It's part of a dangerous pattern. And the implications, they're enormous. Things are spiraling out of control. In rapid succession, the White House has faced multiple crises, and they're struggling to hold it all together. First, it was the absurd defense of Trump's joke about canceling elections. Then came the claims about Greenland and the military stance the U.S. might take, an outright confrontation with European nations. And if that wasn't enough, they're doubling down on dangerous tactics at home. ICE and Border Patrol agents with military-like force are in cities like Chicago and Minneapolis, terrorizing communities. Innocent people are dying, and the government's response, denial. The state is justifying everything, and nothing is being done to stop it. The question now is, what happens if this continues? If these aggressive tactics become normalized, if the rule of law is constantly bent, we could be facing a very different America. One where the line between government authority and authoritarian rule is blurred beyond recognition. Now let's shift gears for a moment. This isn't just about politics or policy, it's about real people. Every action taken by Trump's administration has consequences, and those consequences are hitting everyday Americans hardest. In Chicago, ICE agents are terrorizing communities, showing up in full military gear and using tactics that we've only seen in oppressive regimes. And it's not just in Chicago. From Minnesota to New Orleans, this is becoming the new normal. Families are being torn apart. People are dying for no reason other than being in the wrong place at the wrong time. In Illinois, a man named Silvio Villegas Gonzalez was shot and killed simply for dropping his kids off at daycare. No explanation, no justice. It's stories like these that make it clear this isn't just a policy failure. It's a failure of the system to protect its people. If this feels familiar to you, if you've ever seen or experienced something like this, speak up in the comments. The time to act is now. So, what's allowing all of this to happen? The truth is, it's not just bad policy. It's a broken system that's actively enabling these abuses. It's a system fueled by fear, spectacle, and power. When you look at ICE's actions, it's clear they're not just enforcing the law, they're serving a political agenda. These agents aren't trained law enforcement officers. They're being fast-tracked, hired for their loyalty, not their qualifications. This is what happens when the state can create a personal army for anyone in power. The question we have to ask is, who benefits from this? It's not the average citizen, that's for sure. It's a system where intimidation and control are prioritized over democracy and justice. And what's more troubling is how easily these tactics are being normalized. We're seeing this not only in the US, but globally. Authoritarian regimes around the world using similar tactics to maintain control. The fact is, we've seen this before, and history has not been kind to those who allow it to thrive. Now, let's take a look at where this could go. We have two possible futures ahead of us. One where the American people rise up, demand accountability, and restore the democracy that's slipping through our fingers. People are already standing up in places like Illinois and Minnesota, showing that resistance isn't just possible, it's happening. But there's another path, one where these authoritarian tactics continue to escalate, where power is consolidated and the line between democracy and dictatorship blurs completely. If Trump and his allies maintain control, we could see an even more militarized, divided America, one where dissent is silenced and freedom becomes a distant memory. The future is hanging in the balance, and what happens next depends on how quickly the American people wake up to what's really at stake here. The question is, which path will we take? Here's the deep insight. What we're witnessing isn't just a political crisis, it's a test of our democracy. Every decision, every move being made right now is shaping the future of the United States and possibly the world. The battle we're in is bigger than any one person or political party. It's about protecting the freedoms that generations have fought for. If we don't act now, if we don't stand up for our civil rights and demand accountability, we could lose everything. So what's next? Will we allow this to continue, or will we rise and fight for the democracy we deserve? The truth is, the fight for America's future is already underway, and it's up to us to decide how this story ends. If you want to stay informed and be part of the conversation, hit that follow button. We'll be back with more insights as this story continues to unfold.